On today's recipe video, I am going to be making my everything pita. I really hope you guys can stick around and see exactly how it's done. Welcome to the kitchen. I am plant-based Gabriel. Thanking you so much for tuning in. And remember, if you haven't subscribed already and liked the page, it really makes a big difference. But today we are going to be making everything pitas or pitas. And we're just gonna need a few ingredients for these. Now, I am gonna be using my KitchenAid stand mixer with the dough hook, but you can knead this by hand. If you have a stand mixer, it's nice to use. We're also going to be using one 0.25 ounce packet of quick acting yeast. You can use slow acting yeast. It's just going to take a little bit longer for your dough to rise. We also have an everything but the bagel seasoning from Trader Joe's. If you do not have that available, you can use dehydrated garlic and onion and some salt and sesame seeds. But if you have that, I'd recommend using it. We have 2 cups of a whole wheat flour, and then we're going to be using 3/4 to 1 cup of water. Now we're going to add in about half the water at the start, and then we're just going to add in a little bit. Hopefully you're not going to have to use that whole cup of water because we want that dough to come together nicely, but we don't want it too wet and sloppy. So it's going to be a little bit of a, you're going to play it by ear a little bit, but somewhere between 3/4 to 1 cup of water. But I'm going to bring you guys in here and we're going to get started on today's recipe. The very first thing that we are going to need to do is I like to add in my whole wheat flour. So we have 2 cups, and then we also have our yeast. So I'm going to get that in there. And one thing I like to do is just go in with my hand and make sure it's mixed around nice and well. Not too long, don't worry about it too much. Now we are going to take the stand mixer and we are going to put it on a low setting. And I am just going to go ahead and add in the water slowly until it comes together. Okay, now that your dough, you want to have a good consistency on it. So about like this. Now we are going to put that back in, and we are going to knead that on a medium setting for around 5 minutes. Okay, our 5-minute timer is up. You can see our dough is nice and kneaded well. Gluten has been nice and activated. Now I am going to throw this in here and we are going to let that go ahead and prove for around 60 to 90 minutes, and we'll be back when that is done. Okay, our dough has about doubled in size. Now all we're going to need to do is go ahead and knock it back a little bit, and then I like to wrap it up in some saran wrap or plastic wrap and put it in the fridge so that we get it nice and cool, so that by the time we get it in the oven, it's going to be, the air bubbles are going to be able to expand a lot. So we're going to knock it back and then we'll wrap it up and put that in the oven. So we'll be back in about 30 minutes after it's been in the fridge cooling down a bit. Okay, we've got our dough which has been in the fridge resting. Now all I'm going to do is roll it out a little bit. Now we are going to take my dough scraper and cut out even sections just like that. Now once you have your even sections, we are going to take it and move them to the side, and I'm going to grab just one. Now I have some more flour which I'm going to set down. I have my rolling pin, which I'm going to nice and flour up. Now I like to just take it and roll it out a little bit. Make sure it gets nice and floured. And we are going to give it some good rolls. Now I will mention we have the oven preheated to 450 degrees. I have my baking stone in there, but if you don't have a baking stone, a baking sheet with parchment paper will work. That looks good. Now all I'm going to do now is take a little bit of water, which I have in my coconut dish, and pat my fingers down a little bit, cover the top of that pita, and we are going to take our everything seasoning, or our everything but the bagel seasoning. Cover it, and that should be ready to go. So I've got the oven preheated. I'm going to take my pita, and we are going to get those in on the baking stone or baking sheet. Now we have a few of our everything pitas here. Now we want to be quick with this. I've got my baking stone. Now I am going to lay these out on it, just like that, and we want to get that back in the oven as quick as possible. Now those are going to go in from 3 to 5 minutes, and we're going to just watch those puff right up and turn into perfect pitas. Welcome back to the kitchen. I gotta say, I tidied it up first of all, but these pitas look like they turned out fantastically. I'm just going to open one up, and if you can see a really nice pocket there. These work great for different rice dishes, curries, really anything you'd like. Sometimes we'll just make them just to have them along with dinner. Doesn't really matter what we're having, but the question is, how does it taste? I just had a little bit there. Absolutely fantastic. The everything but the bagel seasoning is delicious. If you guys have a Trader Joe's, I'd recommend going and checking it out and trying it. If not, again, you can just use some dehydrated garlic and onion and a little bit of salt. But these turned out perfect. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's recipe video. If you did, make sure you go ahead and give it a thumbs up, share the video, let everybody know how to make a whole food plant-based everything pita. And as always, I know you guys know this probably, but if you don't, this recipe and my past and future recipes can be found at plantbasedgabriel.com. I am Plant-Based Gabriel, thanking you so very much for watching, and I will hopefully see you very, very soon.